Hello and welcome to Space Dreamin. This is an online talk show where we cover everything from time, space, and technology to relationships, current events, and spirituality. It is such a pleasure to have you tune in. We are reporting live from the euphoric space station, and of course, we have so many topics to get into. So, with that being said, Celeste, go ahead and get the topics pulled up. So, the main topic of today is going to be the question of whether or not TikTok will get banned in the US. We've also got a lot, and I mean a lot, of astrology to get into in today's show. We also have special guest star Soldier Quentin stopping by to discuss the concept of time. Of course, I've got some really cool music to pass your way. But before we get into any of that, let's look at this week's astro weather because it is insane. So tomorrow, Thursday, March 23rd, 2023, Pluto will enter the sign of Aquarius. The last time that Pluto changed signs was in 2008 when it entered the sign of Capricorn, which rules capital for the most part, and we saw major financial collapse during that time. So keep that in mind. So let's talk about Pluto. So Pluto can rule power, misuse of power, surveillance, obsession, sex, going beneath the surface and sometimes unearthing some darkness. Pluto rules over finances, taxes, properties, loans, inheritances, and also transformation, death, and rebirth. Got it? Okay, so now let's add some Aquarius themes to the mix. So Aquarius rules technology, innovation, sudden change, uprising, revolting, authenticity, eccentricity. Aquarius also rules rebellion and liberation, and of Aquarius also rules over architecture. So day-to-day infrastructure like buildings and things like that, but also just the general framework of society. So quite a combination, right? Yeah. Let's get into some predictions that I've come across from astrologers on social media. At this time, I'm going to be specifically referencing a Twitter thread from user Sagistellium, so go follow them. So here are some of the predictions that Sagistellium had throughout their thread. They predict structural collapse, like building collapses on large scale, heavily populated cities becoming desolate, and desolate cities becoming more populated. Ghost towns will be lived in again. There will also be the formation of self-reliant communities. So communities that are able to produce their own food, their own shelter, they're able to sustain themselves. Sagittarium also predicts land erosion and giant sinkholes. They also expect corporations failing due to revolutions, protests, and strikes. Some businesses may not have anyone willing to work for them anymore. People won't obey rules anymore, especially when it comes to things that belong to the rich, specifically land and housing that they've been hoarding. Oh, I love that. So here's some predictions from my own research and my own studies. Absolutely, there is going to be technological advancement like we have never seen. And I know y'all are probably already tired of hearing about the AI. I know I am. But baby, when you see how these forms of technology develop over the span of time of Pluto being in Aquarius, it's going to blow your mind. And I thought that this particular photo set here that was generated with AI technology, I thought this was a beautiful work of art. And I may or may not be getting these framed in my home. Y'all see how it's advancing. It literally looks like this man is being arrested, and hella people, including myself, was like, oh my God. But it's AI technology. So, it can be a little bit, we was talking about that in the last episode, it can be a little bit frightening, but I think it'll also be cool, I guess, to see how these things develop. My next prediction: people who have been misusing their power are soon about to learn that the people they've been exerting their power over are in the majority and that they have had the power all along. They're about to learn that lesson, and it's going to be a rude awakening. Like we were talking about earlier, Pluto does rule authenticity and just being your authentic self. And then we were mentioning how Pluto rules influence and power. So you'll start to see a shift. You'll start to see more people that are just living their truth. Everyday people would be taking the place, I guess you could say, of celebrities. We're no longer going to want to see that superficial, just flaunting, flexing money is about to look real crazy. It's not about to give that at all here soon. People are going to want to hear from everyday people that they can relate to. So my next prediction, I do agree with Sagittarius about the collapse of architecture. I also think about how Pluto relates to transformation, and I see a lot of spaces being reimagined. And it makes me think about all the abandoned malls throughout America right now. I specifically think about all the abandoned malls in America, and I wonder if those spaces will be reimagined. I do remember hearing about a proposal where a university had purchased a mall that wasn't as active, and I think they were considering extending their campus, so turning that mall into more of a school space. And I thought, that's interesting. And I wonder how many other spaces will be reimagined. There will absolutely be some transformation to our currency system. I don't know if it's going to become more digital. I'm not really sure, but there's absolutely going to be some transformation in that area. I don't know. We'll see. Surveillance will also become a lot more advanced. So watch what the hell you doing on and offline. Also, the internet in general may just become a darker place as Pluto does unearth a lot of darkness, and then Aquarius rules online, social media. There could be some dark things that are shared on social media, or there might be encounters that happen on social media that turn out to have dark outcomes in real life. Just really, really, really be careful what you're doing. That's all I can say. The last prediction I have, which I don't know about this one. A mass exodus off of social media. Now, when I first heard that be predicted, I was like, I don't know if I can see everybody just up and getting off social media. Like, I don't know if that's I don't know if I can see that. But we'll get into it more in the later segment. I can totally see it now. And I will explain it all in the next segment. But yeah, at the end of the day, both Pluto and Aquarius, very unpredictable. Very unpredictable. We really can't say for sure how these things might play out, but all we can do is really just hang on for the ride. Moving on, Mars will enter the sign of Cancer on March 25th. I believe it's a Saturday, after being in the sign of Gemini since August of 2022. Finally. So Mars energy rules what fuels us. So during the time period where Mars is in Gemini, you might have felt indecisive about what action to take a lot of the time. It's easy to be intellectually stimulated by things when Mars is in Gemini, but it may not materialize. Like, it might just stay an idea or a concept. That's the thing. Now that Mars is entering Cancer, our actions might be a lot more emotionally driven. We may be more drawn to act in ways that protect our sense of personal security and our home life. You might feel more drawn to look after your loved ones, to be more protective of your loved ones. You might be more drawn towards activities related to food, whether that be gardening or learning cooking skills. Anything like that. You could just be doing a lot of nesting or anything that just makes you feel more secure and content in your home environment. Okay, y'all. Deep breaths, deep breaths. It's okay. We're going to make it through. let's get into some music just to kind of decompress a little bit, and then I'll get up with y'all on the other side. So the US government is looking to potentially ban TikTok in the US due to data concerns, despite the fact that they've been selling our data to China and whoever the hell else. Let's be real, Facebook and Instagram are flopping like a fish out of water right now, mostly because they altered the authentic features that users actually liked, trying to keep up with apps like TikTok. Like, girl, I'm sorry, but Reels, nobody asked for Reels. Never once. I never heard nobody ask for Reels. We already had sites where we could do that. Like, girl, you was the picture girl. Like, we never asked. Girl, don't even get me started on Facebook. That's an easy eat up. Facebook is so low frequency, and honestly, I just feel like they are late on everything. Like, there's stuff that we be talking about on Twitter where I'm like, well, I know this ain't gonna reach the Facebook world for 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 more days. So it's just annoying. That's why I don't even be getting on there, because I feel like, dang, we've been wrapped up the discussions about this on Twitter like a week ago. But hey, there's just a subset of people on Facebook. I don't know. It's like anytime I post anything positive on Facebook, it's like no engagement. But like, I could literally post the worst thing happened to me today, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, and I broke my leg, and my grandma called the police. It's 250 million likes, 6 shares, a million comments. I can be like, hey guys, this really cool thing happened to me. I got this award. It's like, girl, y'all hear something? This is also not the place for any kind of progression. You're not going to be able to wake up any topics like anti-Blackness or belief system or just any kind of discussion around politics that's not surface level. It's just not happening on there. Sorry, it's just not. Baby, the girls are on TikTok learning new skills, building entire communities around things we're interested in and passionate about. We're dancing and having fun, organizing and connecting grassroots movement. We're showcasing skills and talents and building an audience. We're seeing raw, unfiltered reporting on both local and global events. And finally, the US government's worst nightmare in a period of inflation, a housing crisis, disproportionate wages, complete burnout in the workforce. Their worst nightmare? We're talking to each other.
TikTok is the most powerful tool to ever be put in the hands of the people in recorded history, and that's why the government wants to ban it. Because of this app, there's a powerful collective consciousness that exists amongst the middle and lower class parts of society that's never existed before. Watch the news in 2 years. If I want the truth, I come here. We're pulling back the curtain on the elite. We're learning how to get out of debt. We're discussing 4-day work weeks. We're talking about organizing, about boycotts, about unions. Not only that, but this app has disrupted Hollywood. TikTok isn't competing with Facebook and Instagram, it's competing with Netflix. Not to mention the juggernaut that is our failed American healthcare system has taken an absolute beating on this app. It's thrown a spotlight onto the deep-seated corruption of American politics. The government lets us keep our guns because it knows that the real weapon is knowledge. Knowledge is power. That's why they're coming for this app. They don't want us to have it. They don't want us to have a collective consciousness. But you can't unring the bell. Even if they delete this app, another one's gonna take its place.
You can't compete where you can't compare, and the US also can't control TikTok. So what do? You destroy, or at least you try to. So on March 23rd, tomorrow, the same day that Pluto enters Aquarius, the CEO of TikTok will go before Congress to testify regarding the ban. You know what? Let's meet him.
Hi everyone, it's Show here. I'm the CEO of TikTok. I'm here in Washington, D.C. today, and I have some news and updates to share with everyone here. Today, I'm super excited to announce that more than 150 million Americans are on TikTok. That's almost half of the US coming to TikTok to connect, to create, to share, to learn, or just to have some fun. This includes 5 million businesses that use TikTok to reach their customers. And the majority of these are small and medium businesses. Now these numbers are amazing. And I'm so thankful to all of you and the 7,000 TikTok employees in the US who are helping us build this incredible community in America and around the world. Now this comes at a pivotal moment for us. Some politicians have started talking about banning TikTok. Now this could take TikTok away from all 150 million of you. I'll be testifying before Congress later this week to share all that we're doing to protect Americans using the app and deliver on our mission to inspire creativity and to bring joy. Let me know in the comments what you want your elected representatives to know about what you love about TikTok.
So for many of us, including myself, this was our first time seeing the CEO of TikTok. And I'm going to tell you right now, the way he's presenting here, you're going to have a real hard time convincing me that between the US government and this person here, that this is the villain. The way the US government just totally threw their citizens to the wolves in the name of profit, it's been very clear who the real villains are. If they think that the girls are gonna return to meta platforms as a result of TikTok getting banned, then that's how I know they really done lost their damn mind. Me personally, I have no issue getting rid of all meta platforms and just sticking to YouTube, Tumblr. I never left Tumblr, and Twitter as long as Elon. I'm gonna be on there as long as I can. That's all I can say. But yeah, I don't have no issue, and most don't. I've seen other TikTok users saying that they'll go to MySpace before they get back on Meta platforms, and others are totally content with just leaving social media altogether. So, remember that mass exodus from social media that I mentioned earlier? The hearing is tomorrow, so we'll see what happens. Let's get into another song, and then we'll catch up with our guest star on the other end.
This that new wave.
Welcome to my hood,
Welcome to my
full of bad luck. I hope you're knock on wood.
Yeah, I hope you're not gonna
Got the kids inside, they running barefoot. They running, ragged. Got loud in this road, but I never smoke. Unless you pass away, then it's ghost. Then I'ma just blow. See, hate to reap what you sow. I hope you feel it way deep in your soul.
But we vibing out to get it in the kitchen, cooking chicken, making music for a living. Let me bow and say my grace, dear Lord, do you hear me? I'm just trying to speak clearly. Yeah, I feel some devil in me, but I'm trying to get away.
I got evil all around me. Wish it was love and surrounding. Terror, error on these mirrors. Blinding colors on what? A same of marriage. Fuck you, birdie, looking like a berry. Shirley, hope you pray. Caesar salad, I'm tossing. I hope you move with some caution. Got power just like I'm Austin.
Smoking sour so often, I'm like a Celtic from Boston. I'm faded up in the clouds, getting high, can't come down. Don't fuck with clear, just that brown. We bout to go cop a pound. We in the hood, we be swerving, yeah, we be switching them lanes. 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm going hard in like James. I take it straight to the pack. We going straight to the back.
Benji is my friend, Benji is my lover. We laughing to the bank, you know we pushing buttons. I got my disease, screen on the day. I feel like I'm rich, you tough as a chick.
Niggas really sleeping on the kids. Never realized that we gonna make it big. Trying to feed my family and my future kids.
Quentin, welcome to the show. Now, y'all are probably used to the musical stylings of Soldier Quentin on the show, but today he is going to be serving as a guest star to talk about the concept of time. Time is mathematically described as an ongoing and continuous cycle of events that occur in succession from the past through the present and to the future. Another definition of time notes that time occurs in an apparent irreversible succession. And the first thought that came to my mind is how you can't go back. It's irreversible. In my research, I learned more about the creation of sundials by the ancient Egyptians around 1500 BC. And it's incredible, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if y'all would have asked me what time it was back then, girl, I just wouldn't have known. Like, I literally would have been praying that nobody asked me what time it was. While the research was fascinating and I can go down that rabbit hole all night and day, I still was left with the same question: what is the purpose of time? So I don't even know, y'all. Quinn, what do you think? Is time real?
And I feel like it's real in the sense of like probably how the Egyptians saw it, of just like with a sundial, like we're measuring the shifts in the universe. I think it's just about as real as that, as far as like a concept basis, you know what I mean? But how people look at it today, like it's 5:45 or it's 7 o'clock, like I don't really think that's real. I think that's just another means of controlling people.
I will catch myself being so strict about this internal schedule that I create for myself, mostly due to conditioning. And even if it's as simple as chores around the house or even like long term goals, I'm like, where does the pressure to have this done in a certain amount of time, like, where does that come from?
It can bring upon how this man-made concept can bring upon such feelings of inadequacy. Like we need to have this by this, or you need to do this by this time. And then all the different things that are like all the different institutions that are like based upon it. You know what I'm saying? Like religions, like different, government and societal standards are all rooted around time. And it's like we just we just get too caught up on it versus really just living out our truth and not letting the natural process of things unfold. All the dreams that didn't come true just because people couldn't afford to believe in it because they were just too caught up on the time. I try not to compare myself with social media a lot. That comes up into play when I consider time because life is showing me that you're really only as old as you feel, and you're really only as successful as what you measure it to be in your own head. But it's like it's easy for it to get muddied. You know what I mean? Like with all these different meridian standards and whatnot.
Do you ever disengage with time?
Yeah, for sure. Disengage with time. I'm trying to think of like how to say this the most PC way possible. Cause it's like some real things in my mind when I think of that, like disengaging from it. But it's like when I say I disengage from it, it be when I'm in the company of people I love, you know, I can disengage from it because I stop. It's just no longer in consideration. The only thing that might come to mind is like, this is something, if it's really something beautiful, it's like, it'll come to mind, like, I'll cherish this moment forever. But like, I would say moments like that, moments where I'm caught up in my writing, moments where I'm just like in the cultivation of music in some form or facet, um, really just engaged in art in general. That's where I'll find myself like disengaging with time. A good conversation, hell now, like I'm not really worried about time, but we talking about time. That's the dichotomy in it. But yeah, I'd say moments like that. It comes to mind when you mention that a legendary prophet named Muhammad Ali. Don't count the days, make the days count. And that comes to mind, like when you mention that, because when I think about that, I be consistently trying to do that. It's so much easier said than done. Because it's like we know what we need to do to fulfill certain things, but it's like it takes heart. And I think back to him, I use him as like he's on my vision board as an example because I consider him like the buck that they couldn't break. He's the buck they couldn't break. He didn't stop talking his shit until they took it till he had no voice. You know what I'm saying? He didn't stop gliding across the stage till he couldn't no more. So it's like that's how I look at it. Like I'm trying to make these days count. And it's like certain things on my checklist each day. Like, if I get a workout in, or if I read a little bit, you know what I'm saying? If I enjoy myself, I laugh a good bit of time, then I'm checking things off.
Make the days count. Challenge accepted. So, Quentin, you've already shared so much beautiful messaging here with us. Do you have any parting words for our fellow creatives?
So part of my idea, I'm gonna just label my idea. So I was having the opinion that if you do something that inspires you, even though it's not directly correlated to your art, but a principle that is consistent with it, then that is the equivalent of participating in your art. That is my opinion. Because remember when we talked before, we had spoke about how just doing little things can coincide with you actually participating in your art, right? Whatever form that may be. As long as you're doing something that consistently inspires you, then you're participating in your, evolution as an artist.
I love it. Thank you so much for stopping by the Euphoric Space Station. You know, you're always a welcome guest. Y'all get into my friend's music if you haven't already. What a show. I am going to go ahead and sign off myself. It has been such a pleasure as usual, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.